Hello everyone, Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense. Thank you for watching. I have another Monday quarterback video for you. I'm going to play this video and talk about things that are going on, to better explain what's going on, and talk about things that I think that are being done right and or done wrong. Here we go.
Hello, my name is Brian Bauer, a sergeant with the Phoenix Police Department's Public Affairs Bureau. The information, audio, video, and pictures you are about to see are intended to provide details as we currently understand them of an officer-involved shooting that occurred on September 24th, 2022. This video may contain strong language as well as graphic images which could be disturbing to some people. Viewers' discretion is advised. This incident began when patrol officers were driving along 19th Avenue, passing Tucky Lane, which is just south of Glendale Avenue. The officers had just completed an unrelated call and were traveling south on 19th Avenue. While officers were passing by Tucky Lane, they saw a man throwing rocks at their vehicles. Both units involved stopped further down the street and spoke with each other about what occurred. A rock had broken a spotlight on one of these vehicles. Here is a portion of that initial radio traffic between patrol units and the communications operator related to this incident. You will hear 611 India and 65 Ocean during this exchange. These are both call signs designating the different units speaking.
611 India.
611 India. 611 India.
Yeah, we got someone actively throwing rocks at us at 19th Avenue, Kentucky.
I'm sorry, your radio's breaking. Your radio's breaking out 10-9.
Black male, yellow shirt.
There's a black male with a white shirt.
65 Ocean, they said they have a male actively throwing rocks at them at 19th Avenue in Kentucky.
So I don't know what was going on there. She may have had some extra noise in the background there at the dispatch center. Sometimes, there can be people jaw-jacking in the background, or there could be another dispatcher beside her or behind her who is dispatching for another call for a different agency. The dispatch center could also dispatch for fire department as well, and so that she could have a fire dispatcher behind her, and then fire truck in the background, that radio noise is going off, and she may not have heard what this guy said. I don't know, but obviously the other officers heard exactly what the hell they said, and so this officer gets on to repeat exactly what was said on the radio. Sometimes that happens, and it's usually because at the dispatch office center or whatever, there's sometimes some extra noise in the background because there's other shit going on, right? It could be someone answering a 911 call and they're trying to get that person to calm down and they're having to speak a little bit louder, and that's causing them to have problems hearing. Or she could just fucking suck at her job.
While officers were talking, they requested assistance from the helicopter and an officer with less lethal munitions. This is heard in the transmission as a 40, referring to a 40mm less lethal launcher. Here is the audio clip of that transmission.
We went south more. You start for the area and try to get 40. 19th Avenue, Kentucky is northwest corner, yellow shirt, black jeans.
Northwest corner, yellow shirt, black jeans.
He broke our spotlights. We are criminal damage.
Body-worn cameras are used by all officers assigned level, and the camera lens, when activated, for the happens suddenly, where an officer used in-car camera system about what had occurred. Body-worn camera of the officers as they were talking about what had occurred.
Tucky! 19th Avenue, Kentucky is the northwest corner, yellow shirt, black jeans. West.
So I'm assuming that this is probably like some kind of inner city transit thing, like a trolley. So it looks like there's another set on the side right there. So I'm assuming that the coloration here, this is how far it sticks out. I'm hoping at least. If not, if this is, I don't think this is regular, like, rail track for like a CSX rail or anything like that. But it could be. But I just don't think it is, because those are wider cars. And if this was like a normal railroad track, normal train or whatever, this is way too damn close. So this has to be, I think, some type of inner city, like subway, like not a subway, but because it's above ground, but one of those transit buses, or not buses, but transit trains. Otherwise, that's just too damn close to the road. And plus, there's nothing else separating here to keep people away from it. But that is something to think about, being too close to the tracks and stuff. So he got on the radio and talked about getting the 40. Not every single car at an agency is going to have something like a 40 millimeter launcher in it, or have a 12 gauge less lethal shotgun in it. There may be some agencies out there that can afford to do that, but a lot of them cannot afford to do that. So you got to take the launcher itself. That is an expense item right there. With 12 gauge, it could be a little bit easier, because basically it's just a shotgun, right? It's just a regular shotgun like any other shotgun. It just has different color stock and pump on it to help more easily designate it as a less lethal. But you can buy a shotgun that was intended to be used for lethal purposes, just put different color stock on it to help identify that it is for sure less lethal only, and that gets turned into a less lethal shotgun. You can get those $200 a pop, depending on where you're getting them from. You're not most likely going to be paying a whole lot of money just for a simple 12 gauge pump shotgun. So it could be more financially feasible for agencies to get a bunch of 12 gauge shotguns and issue those out. But that's not the only cost that would be incurred. Then you have the cost of the training. So you have to be trained and certified on devices like that. And training and certification requires you fire X amount of rounds, X amount of munitions. So you've got the cost of the shotgun, you've got the cost of the rounds that they would be required to fire, and you've got the cost of putting that one officer through a class. If you don't have anybody internally to do the teaching, which a lot of agencies, they'll send one person off to instructor school, and then they come back, and then they get to teach everybody in-house, quote-unquote, for free, meaning it doesn't cost a seat to train that officer. It's just the cost of the shells. Whereas if you send someone to a school to learn this stuff, you got to pay for the shells, the shotgun, and for that seat. For one student, just the enrollment could be a $500 class. If that's $500 just for them to be able to be there, plus you got to pay for the damn shells, pay for lodging, stuff like that. So if they're able to do it in-house, they can reduce some of those costs. But if they have to send people out for this training, cost of the shotgun, cost of the shells, cost of the class itself, cost of lodging, cost of fuel, etc. So it could be very fucking expensive to equip every single person with a less lethal munition. But it would be easier for shotgun. For 40 millimeter, those are some more specialty things. Those launchers, they're going to be more expensive than a 12 gauge shotgun. Those rounds are going to be more expensive than a handful of beanbag shells. So not every single agency, like I said, can have every single officer with those less lethal munitions. It's just the cost. It's just too much. And for these agencies who are defunded, it makes it even harder for them to get that stuff to everyone. So in a lot of places, it's usually like the supervisors who end up getting trained on these things. Because it's more likely that supervisor is going to be, working mostly all the time and not likely taking off and stuff like that. And then they're more likely to be able to float around call to call and not going to be tied up on some, minute call that's, I won't say it's under them, but some call that would keep them tied up, right? Like your regular patrol calls or your regular patrol officers are going to these regular calls that they could be tied up for an hour. Like you're not going to see a shift sergeant take someone to the hospital and sit there with them. They can't fucking lead and manage their people sitting in the hospital. So a regular patrol person is going to go perform that bullshit. And the supervisor can mostly keep free and go call to call to back people up as needed or whatever. So they are typically the ones who get the special tools, the cool toys. 12 gauge beanbag, 40 millimeter launcher, pepper ball gun, etc. It's usually for them. Sometimes you also have officers who are also cross-trained or on SWAT team and stuff, and so they're cross-trained on these different weapons, and so they're authorized to carry those things with them. So you may have some officers who are on the SWAT team, and they've been trained on 40 millimeter launcher. The agency has X amount of 40 millimeter launchers in reserve, on top of the supervisors having them, so now the SWAT team guy who works patrol gets to carry one as well. It varies up from agency to agency. So it doesn't sound like they even had a 40 millimeter launcher on scene. Probably the only forms of less lethal that they have right now is taser and pepper spray. Moving on.
West corner, yellow shirt, black jeans. West.
Oh yeah, so what I was talking about, what I was talking about earlier, so that's a curb right there. So yeah, that has to be some type of inner city transit thing. But still, that's super close to the damn road.
Both patrol units then return to Tucky Lane. As the officer who is riding solo pulls into the intersection of 19th Avenue and Tucky Lane, 2 rocks are seen striking the patrol car. As he gets out of the patrol car and begins giving commands to the man to drop the rocks, the man throws an additional rock, hitting the officer in the shin. The man then appears to prepare to throw another rock, at which point the officer-involved shooting occurs. Here is the body-worn camera video of the officer who is riding solo.
Get down now!
Next is the body-worn camera footage from the passenger in the 2-man patrol car, who also fires his weapon.
"998, shots fired, subject's down."
Get down! Hey, guys,
Get down! Stay down!
So as soon as they get out, or as soon as that first officer gets out, he's immediately assaulted with dangerous instruments. There is no time afforded to them to be able to get some type of less lethal out. He's immediately starts attacking them. So they don't even have time to employ any less lethal, even if they had it, the 40 millimeter launcher with them.
Here is the body-worn camera footage from the driver of the 2-man patrol car.
Where is it?
He's actively throwing stuff at her Tahoe right now.
Oh, Jesse.
After the shooting, officers provided medical aid to the individual and requested the fire department for additional help. The subject was transported to a local hospital where he died from his injuries. Both patrol vehicles sustained damage from the rock.
All right. So after seeing the news article or the video floating around the internet shortly after this happened, there were a lot of people who were like, "It's just a rock. Why'd they have to shoot him? All he was doing was throwing rocks." Let's take a look at these rocks and look at what this rock did. Like, you cannot easily pierce the hood of a car like this.
Being thrown. Detectives collected a number of rocks from the intersection.
Yeah. So these are the rocks that this dude was fucking throwing. If you don't think that this is a concern, then allow me to invite you to a money-making opportunity. I got $200. 2 crisp $100 bills for any person who will let me take a rock like this one right here and throw it as hard and fast as I can at their face. It's not just making an attempt. I actually have to make contact with your face in order for you to receive that $200. If you legitimately believe that these rocks cannot cause serious physical injury and or death, then I should have a lot of people begging for me to throw a rock at their face so they can get $200. I guarantee you I will not have one single fucking person take me up on that offer. Not one. Because they know that a rock of this size and mass is capable of causing serious physical injury and or death when it is thrown as hard and fast as possible at your head. Before humans had perfected their ability to manipulate things and create tools and stuff like that, there was a time where between us using our hands and feet to kill each other, we evolved to picking things up like this and bashing people's skulls in. In some places across the world, stones are still used to kill people. And then it evolved from us holding these things in our hands to lashing them to a stick. And then it perfected or evolved into us using a different kind of rock to beat this other rock and crumble pieces of that rock off and create a pointed tip, making axes and arrows. And then we devised things to launch these fucking things. But in the beginning, this is what we were using. And there's lots of human remains out there found by archaeologists that show that people were killed with rocks. The famous biblical story, David versus Goliath. What did he kill him with? A fucking rock. So yeah, if you're one of these people who says, oh, he was just throwing rocks, I got $200 for you if you let me throw a rock at your face. Guarantee you will not be contacting me. Moving on.
Ranging in weight from 2.9 ounces to 19.8 ounces. Here's a sample of 4 different rocks collected. The officers involved in this shooting are both assigned to the Desert Horizon Precinct. One of the officers has 2.5 years on the department. The other officer has 2 years on. This incident is the subject of both an internal and criminal investigation.
Okay, so we'll go back
to 19.8 ounces. Here's a sample.
The rocks. All right, so looking at 12 News, see what this article says. Boom, 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 boom. The person is 34-year-old Ali Osman. And then a lot of this goes into basically reiterating what was just talked about in this community release and nothing else on this article other than them providing his name. And I don't know why sometimes they don't provide, why they don't provide names for people, but I don't know. Here's one from Fox 10. Let's see if this has anything extra in it. So this one does have a little bit more information. So again, this comes from Fox 10 Phoenix. Skip the first part and it gets to timeline and latest updates. October 14. We have obtained documents that shows a notice of claim being filed against Phoenix police in connection with the incident. According to notice of claim, members of Osman's family are accusing Phoenix police of excessive force in violation of the 4th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, violation of equal protection to a law under the 14th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, intentional infliction of emotional distress, wrongful death, excessive force, battery, and negligence. We all know that's bullshit. Under the notice of claim, members of Osman's family are seeking $85 million for contemporary damages, loss of income and services, medical fees and expenses, funeral and burial expenses, travel expenses, loss of consortium, pain and suffering, loss of enjoyment of life, attorney fees, and punitive damages. If this offer is ignored or rejected, claimants have authorized us to pursue legal action and seek the maximum recovery permitted by law, including an award for punitive damages. The Osman family has said on previous occasions that they plan on filing a lawsuit against Phoenix police. October said, I'm going backwards, I guess. I guess they are updating this particular page live. October 7 is when they released the body cam footage. Yeah. This one goes on to say, I guess when the footage was actually released, Osman family members as well as Smith, I think Smith might be an attorney, possibly. I don't know. They don't really say. Yeah, I don't know who Smith is. So they're outraged and disgusted about officers' actions. I've watched this video and I just can't believe it myself, said Osman's brother. It just makes absolutely no sense. He was throwing rocks. He should be in jail, not a graveyard. Lowering the standard of use of force to protect thin-skinned officers that do not need to be in the profession. If you can't handle someone throwing a rock at you and you make a conscious and reasonable decision that they don't need to be shot, you need to go find another profession. Again, Osman's brother, if you don't think that these rocks are very serious, take me up on my offer and collect $200. We have reached out to Phoenix police for response to the attorney's comments, and they said that the case is still subject of both a criminal and internal investigation. Information related to this incident has been released to everyone who placed a records request for it. September 29, Smith said an independent pathologist has conducted an autopsy on Osman. All of the bullet holes are to the neck area of Mr. Osman. One on the right, there may be a double impact center mass. One to the right. Okay, so to the neck area. It's high and tight, right? Osman family members spoke out about the incident while at the same time demanding answers. Family members say Osman had no criminal history and suffered from bipolar disorder, for which he was being treated. We need justice for Ali, said Osman's sister, Halima Osman. What the officer tells me and what I see on the news is not much. When the officer called me, he told me Ali was shot in the chest. Osman, according to family members, is from Tucson and was visiting family in Phoenix on the night of the incident. It's just wrong what they did. They keep telling us different stories. It just doesn't add up. We didn't even receive an apology from them. They try to make it seem like he was in the wrong, but I know my uncle isn't that type of person. He was throwing rocks, said attorney Quasi Smith, so it was an attorney. We don't shoot people down the streets that are throwing rocks. It's unacceptable and we need answers. Well, Quasi Smith, again, you want to make an easy $200, contact me. Osman and his family reportedly moved to Arizona from Somalia when Osman was 14. He later became an American citizen. Osman's family believes he was targeted by police because he was black and a person of Islamic faith. How in the fuck could they know, just by driving by him, that he was of Islamic faith? That is some straight fucking bullshit. It's taken a lot from me, said close friend Loe Ali Yusfi. You're taking a brother from me, which hurts a lot, so I just hope he gets justice. Officers on September 24 were leaving the scene of an unrelated incident, blah, blah, blah. This kind of basically recites some of the same stuff from the news release. There was a person, Ron Dalatza. I don't know how to pronounce it. He said, turned in the parking lot, heard 4 shots. Pow, 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 pow. Heart started racing. He said, I was worried about the guy that was shot because we had just seen him. He looked like a normal guy. He wasn't doing anything crazy. Just had some rock and was throwing them, and they had a shotgun pointed at him, had weapons pulled on him, and he had no weapons that I could see. The rock is a weapon, dumbass. My wife feels unsafe in the neighborhood, said Christopher Stubbs. We have a dog. We like to walk, and I walk the dog because she doesn't want to get the dog out and walk the dog. It's just, I don't know, it's just the way that's worded. She don't want to walk it, so I have to get him out. Yeah, so for all these people who think that a rock is not a weapon and it cannot cause any serious physical injury or damage, like I said, I got $200 for you. I will give you $200, 2 crisp $100 bills, if you let me throw a rock of similar shape, weight, mass, whatever, at your face as hard and fast as I can. If you like what you hear and see, go ahead and give me a like and a share. If you have not already, hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more Monday quarterback videos. Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense, thank you for watching.